Welcome, Marguerite, to the Sacred Roots podcast. I am so excited to have you on today as a guest. And I love to actually have my guests introduce themselves. So why don't you share a few words about who you are and what you do?
Okay, well, first, thank you so much, LA, for having me here. And a warm welcome to your listeners. About me, gee, let me just tune right in and get like the laser version. Um, I'm a sister on the path who basically has focused my energy on spiritual exploration my entire life. And that has been aided by some you know, negative things that have happened in my life, as well as some positive things. Um, and it's led me ultimately at this stage in my life to uh, having my own Seven Sisters Mystery School that you're familiar with, and being a guide uh, for others on the spiritual path, especially as regards awakening to the sacred feminine and awakening to their own ability to access information, their own expansion of consciousness. And I'm the author of several books, which I know we'll probably talk about. And so that's like the short story. Okay.
Beautiful. So tell us more about the Seven Sisters Mystery School. You tell us about the beautiful work that you do there, because I know the beautiful work that you do there, but I'm sure my audience would love to learn more about that.
Yeah. So I was led to start it in 2012. I had guidance by a mentor at that time, and the name came to me in the shower, Seven Sisters Mystery School, because I was connected with the Seven Sisters of the Pleiades through research and other means. And I had been following oracles that were working with their information and their energy. So it felt like that was a really beautiful umbrella under which I could do all of these many things that I've developed over the years, various classes, one-on-one mentoring, cacao ceremonies, in-person events, right? Online events, and also include my writings there. So yes, we've been going strong for, 13 years now, right? Kind
Mm,
of going on 14. Um, and I have many, many courses that are available on demand and courses that are continually developing. I know you're very familiar with the Mary and Magdalene Priestess training, which is my latest
yes.
iteration. And yeah, and that's going to enroll again in the summer into fall of 2025, because that's like a culmination of some of the many topics and areas that I've been exploring, both personally as a spiritual explorer, as well as a researcher.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's a little bit about the school. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. So I wanna share how I've been led to you, because if you're listening to this podcast, maybe that's your own synchronicity of how you are being led to Marguerite. Because I found you, or maybe you found me, you were put on my path through a podcast that you recorded with Elaine Dottie.
Oh, yeah.
And I just knew I had to learn from you. And I went on your Instagram account and I saw that you were releasing this beautiful book, The Secret Life of Mother Mary. And I was like, oh, well, now I understand why I need to learn from her. Because I'm all about learning more about Mary Magdalene and Mother Mary and the sacred teachings from Jesus, and who they are and not how they are painted today. And so your book was so beautiful, because as I read it, I just kept hearing this little voice in my head that said, "Finally, the truth is out. Finally, the truth is out."
Wow.
Like it's like as if you were just writing what we had needed to know, and now we are ready to uncover this other truth. I think you explained that beautifully in your book as well. There are many truths about who Mother Mary really is, and it's not that because you paint her in a certain way that the other versions are wrong. It's just another way of looking at her.
Yeah.
But I want us to dive more into that, because your work has shed such a powerful light on the incredibly powerful and advanced human being that she was, if we can even call her a human being.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you so much for that moving feedback. It means so much to me to
My
hear,
pleasure.
how you received it, because we write these things, we put them out, and we're not always sure, what people are thinking.
Yeah,
And yeah, I mean, I think that the amazing thing about Mother Mary is she is a woman who merged with the goddess. She had her full ascension, right?
yeah,
And so she shows the way for all of us to deepen into who we really are. And that's really what she's about on the planet. It's what she always has been, as far as I am concerned. It's what she always has been about and what she is about. She's not about being worshipped. She is about just showing us, like mirroring what's within our own souls, and that it's everything that's within her, and perhaps more. So those are definitely areas that we could explore if you want to, as we converse here.
definitely, definitely. I a question that is coming through right now is that, we present Mother Mary really often as like dressed in white or blue with her hands in front of her hearts, looking down.
Yeah.
It's really this submissive energy that is portrayed about her. But when we read your book and we tap into her energy in meditations, it's not who she is.
Yeah. Yeah.
How would you portray her if you had to make a painting or a sculpture of her today and the way that you know her? What would she look like?
I would say she's lifting her hands up to the realms, and she's looking at you straight in the eye, going, "Come on, go."
I love that.
All
I love.
right.
So when did she come in your life and say, "Come on here, Marguerite"?
I think, when, gosh, I mean, what year was it? This is decades ago, when I was very much in my learning phase, taking in, and I attended something called the Women's Spirituality Program in the Boston area. And it was a group of women who had created this whole, you know, realm of study about all these goddesses. And one of the modules was about Mother Mary. And I realized, oh my goodness, this is the goddess. I had been getting into the goddess and this and that. I really kind of left Christianity behind. Um, but I thought, oh, this is the goddess who's been in my background, my backyard all the time.
Hmm.
Hearing what some of these earlier scholars and spiritual seekers were talking about related to her was extremely inspiring to me. And at the same time, I was starting to hear about all the revelations about Mary Magdalene that were coming,
Hmm.
out. And so joining those two together, I realized, oh, there is something incredibly powerful, even within the Christian tradition, that I want to explore more fully. So my way has in large part been through research, scholarship, academics. I was always good in school. But then I really was also going on sacred pilgrimages to ancient sites. And I started going on these pilgrimages to particularly southern Italy and Sicily, where there are these processions still to Mother Mary to this day that go on, that I found to be, I would say, even just primordial to my soul. They just spoke to something deep within me, and were very, very moving. So I was having those kinds of experiences. And then as I was going into my research more deeply, I came upon the discovery that divine birth was a real thing of
Hmm.
is, and then I began understanding how Mary was part of that. And so that was a whole big revelation in my work. And as I was going forward with this and starting to present more on it, I was invited by a beautiful woman named Christy Michaels in the San Francisco Bay Area, where I was living at the time, to start teaching about this publicly. So I gave my first talk on Mother Mary as a divine birth priestess back in, I don't even know if it was 2009 or whatever, publicly. And then there were women who were really deeply in the priestess tradition at that point, who were, friends of mine. And I just started melding together the spiritual and the intellectual with all of this material about Mother Mary. And as it went on, I realized that I could work with Mother Mary more and more personally, as well as understanding her esoterically, mystically, spiritually, and that really both were connected, because she's all about helping people to do their personal healing so that we can have this expansion, this opening, right? This reveling in her fields in a more happy way. So as the years went on, I would be working with her. I would be asking her to hold me. I had a mystical experience after a surgery to remove a cyst on an ovary, where she was in the recovery room with me. And then, various cacao ceremonies, medicine ceremonies, I have felt her presence. I felt guided by her to create these courses and so forth. And then I had a real big, huge experience with her in August 2024 that I think a little bit about, that I've spoken about a bit, where I did a sacred medicine journey with a beautiful priestess named Julie Belfer, and I had a very, very strong experience of Mother Mary being present, and she helped me with the healing of the grief and trauma that I had experienced from my mother leaving her body when I was 10 years old. So that has been another huge layer of healing for me, to really open me up in so many other ways, to continue this exploration, this journey, to support people in their healing and their awakening.
Mm-hmm. That's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing all that journey. Um, with your book coming out, it's really bringing Mother Mary back in the spotlight. Like you said, we've been talking so much about Mary Magdalene and who she really was. Interestingly enough, there's a movie Mary that just came out on Netflix a few weeks ago. And so I'm sure there are other places where people are starting to speak about Mary and who she really was. According to you, why is it that now suddenly we are paying attention to who she really was?
Yeah, I know. Isn't that amazing how this book on Mother Mary comes out, that's explaining about her in ways that we haven't really looked at before? And then all of a sudden, a big movie comes out about her that also I saw part of it. That is, at least the beginning of it, they were doing a good job of showing that she wasn't exactly this clamped down version
Yeah.
that she's been portrayed as being. So I don't know what the rest of the movie is, but I'm sure that I will see it. Oh, and why now? I think because the great cosmic wheels are turning, uh, and with planet Earth as part of that, there is just some major, massive awakening that is happening in an accelerated way. And of course, as part of that, it has to be the awakening to and the embrace of the sacred feminine once more, because she's been so suppressed, so dismissed, so hijacked. And so this is all just part of the cosmic awakening, the disclosure movement, if you will. I see Mother Mary as being, one of the main spaceships that's coming to planet Earth. It's just a divine timing that's at work here. And wow, how exciting for all of us who are alive at
Absolutely.
this time.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So in your book, you share so many amazing things. One of them being that Saint Kaleshwar, an Indian saint, sees her, or more we would say remembers her, as being the most advanced human being that ever existed. Why, in your eyes, was she so exceptional?
Right. And isn't that so powerful, Ele? Just to speak and hear the words, she was the most powerful human being who ever existed. Wow, that already puts so many things into place, especially
Yeah,
for women
yeah.
who have for so long seen only male sacred role models. And she's been like over there a little bit diminished. Um, so anyway, I got so excited about that I lost the thread of your question. So can you just
No, but absolutely, you're right. And this is why we do what we do, right? This is why we're
yeah,
recording this podcast
yes.
episode. Because
Yeah.
the more we can see her as she is, the more we start to see ourselves and the potential that lies within ourselves.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So where did you want us to go
I
from there?
just wanted for you to explain
Oh,
in
yes.
your words, why is she so powerful and
Yeah.
exceptional?
I know, and I love what Swami Sri Kaleshwar has shared in his short 39-year life. He left in 2012, right around when I was starting Seven Sisters Mystery School, I guess. Um, and he was the one that I sat in on the Holy Womb Chakra trainings and heard his senior teacher, Cindy Lindsay, speak these words about Mother Mary and the other things that Sri Kaleshwar had remembered from his past lives with her, and also had gleaned from these ancient palm leaf manuscripts that he had collected. That she was a great female human adept who had lived and studied and practiced for many, many lifetimes on the planet to be able to have her ascension into goddesshood. And so she was the actual one who orchestrated the advent of Jesus to the planet. She wasn't just a receptacle who was used for it, which is kind of the way we're told
Yeah.
that her role was. No, she was an active part of this, along with priestesses who were very dedicated to bringing avatars or high holy beings to the planet. And she really basically taught Jesus from before day one in her womb. She worked with Mother Divine to orchestrate this divine conception, which she had practiced and perfected herself in this technology. And then already when the conception had happened, she was working with the angelic forces to engender this conception. And then when the conception happened, she was using her tools, her mantras, her conversations with the angels and Mother Divine to impart various imprints and codes and energies into Jesus. And then when he was born, she was his guide and teacher and soulmate. And this
Mm.
continued throughout his life, a a fact of which we see even in the Gnostic Gospels and even in the Christian Bible, that she was always with Jesus,
Yeah.
right? She was always helping him. She was always teaching him. She was probably learning from him as well, as from Mary Magdalene, and she was a mentor to Mary Magdalene. We could look at that. So she was just a very great high being, and it is very important that we understand that about her so that we can understand what is possible for ourselves. This exoneration, this elevating of Mother Mary is an elevating of all women and all of the planet, not only in our world, but in our cosmos.
Mm. Thank you for sharing all of that because I know how this new perspective on who she really was is it feels like an opening of possibilities for us all, woman, of like what becomes possible for us instead of just being the mother of.
That's
No,
right.
she is the one that called him in her womb so that he could support the healing.
That's right.
And
Even co-created her,
mm,
according to Kaleshwar. She co-created him
yeah.
because according to Kaleshwar, this was his first incarnation. She
Mm,
was really weaving it out, bringing him into her womb. And that's why the image of her weaving when she's conceiving is used to describe this high level technology that she was about.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You were saying that she prepared for this role for lifetimes and lifetimes. And in your book, you explained that in one of her lifetimes, she was goddess Isis.
Yeah. Isn't
Can you
that,
tell us more about that? Mind
isn't that
blowing. I love this because
mind
I
blowing?
love goddess Isis and Mother Mary. So now it makes so much sense.
It brings it all together for so many people. Like, oh, we
Yeah.
don't have to have Isis over here, Mother Mary over here, Mary Magdalene over here. It's all part of the same collective, the same stream, the same progressing, evolving sacred feminine
Yeah.
presence on the planet. you know? And so Sri Kaleshwar said Mother Mary had many lifetimes, and it was Rudolf Steiner who said that uh, she was the, let's say, Isis was her previous incarnation, right?
Yeah.
And what I've received in one of my medicine ceremonies is that actually Mother Mary is the perfection of Isis. So Isis as this female being who was incarnating through all these women's bodies, Isis was her penultimate lifetime in which she was perfecting how to do a divine conception parthenogenetically. She was also perfecting how to bring a broken soul and body back to life. In other words, how to resurrect a being. All of that came together in her lifetime as Mother Mary. And we still can enjoy her in her valence as Isis because there are still medicines that are provided to people and women in knowing her as Isis. So we can know her in these many ways. They're not mutually exclusive. They're all complementary. Each one is like a facet of her jewel of being the sacred feminine, the divine mother, the Sophianic being.
I love that. Thank you for sharing more insights about that. You also mentioned how Mother Mary was the mentor of Mary Magdalene. And I have read that in other channeled books. And so I found that so interesting that you found, that in your research, you found that she was indeed her mentor. It's not just channeled information, you found more proof of that. And I find that so interesting because there is so much mistrust today around women, and sometimes comparison and jealousy and fear that if I succeed, well, you're going to take my place. That won't be enough for me. But these two very powerful women working hand in hand together, and Mother Mary being her mentor, the mentor of Mary Magdalene, just shows us of a whole other way of relating and supporting each other.
That's right. That's right. And that is so cool to hear that you saw it as oracle information in other sources, because I wasn't aware of that. I
Oh,
was
yeah.
just going by, okay, cool. I love
Yeah.
when it all comes together. I was just going by the research I had done into some of her biographies of, several hundred years after her passing and onward, particularly one called The Life of Mary, The Life of the Virgin, excuse me, probably by Maximus the Confessor. And that's where I really learned Mother Mary's role as the supreme priestess of priestesses, as even we might say the first pope of the entire church, if we want to use that kind of nomenclature. But it's, beyond the papacy. It's just like this major priestesshood that she held, where she mentored Mother Mary Magdalene to head the women, and she mentored Peter to head the men.
Hmm.
And she was the unifier of all of that. And what I get, to speak to what you're referring to, is that she and Mary Magdalene were not in competition. They understood the role of being mentor mentee. And then they also understood that that can kind of flip, or that can equal out, at some point, because we have this description that they always went around together,
Yeah.
and that there was no harshness, that Mary Magdalene was happy to, quote, be in service to Mother Mary because she was in service to the larger picture.
Yeah.
And I have the impression that Mother Mary had things to learn from Jesus. She had things to learn from Mary Magdalene. It wasn't just a one-way street. These are beings all that come in and bring their particular angles and sparkles, and we all inform one another. So that's how I see Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene working together in harmony, in cooperation. And of course, Mother Mary would have been Mother Mary Magdalene's mother-in-law.
Yeah.
The Jewish mother-in-law, all right? If we're thinking about it, if you consider that Mary Magdalene indeed was the partner of Jesus, Mother Mary's the mother-in-law, and we don't hear, because of her high level, we don't hear of any strife in that regard. They can be a wonderful role model for priestess sisters working together, mentor-mentee. They can be a wonderful role model of mother-in-law, daughter-in-law, right? Where things are functioning in a cooperative, harmonious way. So now clearly they walked the planet, they were in bodies, they must have encountered challenges, irritations, but they would bring in the virtues, right, to support them. And they would bring in the divine energies to support them at every step of the way so that they could move through whatever minor irritation, pebble in their shoe was happening, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's a really helpful way to look at it. Not that like, oh, la, 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 everything was all great, but they had their tools and they're trying to show us the tools as well. So that when we feel a little jealous or a little put off by someone else, a sacred sister, a little nervous because we're in the Babylonian money magic system. And it's like, oh my God, if she starts succeeding, then, everybody's going to go to her and blah, blah, blah. The pie is infinite. That's what they're trying to show us. The pie is infinite. And so the more we can really embrace that, then the more, that's a tool, embracing an infinite pie, right? So there are many, many things that are there encoded that I write about that are coming to us every single day, that are coming to you in your meditations, in our medicine ceremonies and so forth. It's a living, breathing practice and presence that we can keep getting creative ideas for to help us in these relationships with other humans.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. I will have to share this book with you where it explains that Mother Mary is a mentor of Mary Magdalene. If I remember well, it's a book that's written in French, so you'll be able to read in French again.
Yes, I'll have to like brush it off for myself. Okay. Yeah.
Or
Uh,
maybe you can find a way to translate it. But if I remember correctly, it was speaking about how Mother Mary was teaching Mary Magdalene about how to work with crystals and colors to help people heal.
I love that. Of course. Why wouldn't she? Crystals, colors, light, sound, energy, all of these are the tools that are available to us on the planet. So that would make complete sense to me. And
Yeah.
yeah, let's see. What are Mother Mary's crystal teachings? Maybe
I
we
will
should
have
take
to
a
I
look
will
at
have to
that.
get this book. Yeah, I will have to find where I put it and look at
Yeah,
it because it was really beautiful.
I
Um,
love that. That's
this chapter
great.
in the book.
That's great. I mean, we're part of a living tradition where we are pulling back into ourselves information from the Akashic records.
Hmm.
So I really honor women and men and everyone who is receiving, opening themselves as oracle and receiving information. And we get to put it out on the table, compare and see, well, what seems to make sense? Am I getting that information too? Let's let this be a cooperative puzzle piecing back together.
Absolutely. You also speak in your book about how Mother Mary is represented and connected to the unicorn. So the unicorn is this beautiful being that we think only exists in myths.
That's
Um,
right.
my personal belief is that it does exist, just in different dimensions. We can
That's right.
see it if our eye is open enough.
That's right.
Because otherwise, why would it be everywhere? You know,
Right.
on
That's right.
children's backpack and dresses and jumpers. But it's more than that.
Yes.
It's yeah. Tell us what you've uncovered about that.
There's a deep mystical truth about the unicorn. Yes, I feel through my research, both academically as well as through my investigations in oracle states, that the unicorns exist in fifth dimensional Earth, fifth dimensional reality, which is it's existing, coexisting with us right now. It's just at a different vibrational frequency. And people have been able to travel back and forth between third dimension and fifth. It's in some periods of time more so, which is why we hear in medieval times and ancient Greek
Mhm.
times of the existence of these beings, because there were more intact forests where this changeover could happen. You could go deep into the forest and suddenly find that you were in an enchanted realm, but they've been destroying forests so that it's more difficult to do that now. But people can still access this through our open states of consciousness that happen through the meditations, that happen through the medicines and so forth, that happen in dream states. Okay. And sometimes, yes, and through grace, some people like Robert Ogilvy Crombie, who worked with Findhorn, was able to just go around a bend, and all of a sudden, my gosh, he's seeing the satyrs and he's seeing, all these beings because he had the grace of the sight, right? We're starting to restore the sight back to ourselves through the medicines, through the meditations, and through these understandings, because when we understand that this reality exists, then we can go there. If we don't even think this reality exists, that door is shut. So when we look at the medieval portrayals of Mother Mary, lots of unicorns, lots of Mother Mary and the unicorn together, or the maiden and the unicorn in her lap. And of course, Mother Mary is the maiden par excellence. And these stories are encoded actually in the Cluny Museum, the Cluny tapestries of the maiden and the unicorn, as well as the cloisters tapestries in New York of the unicorn. And it's a different type of a story, but it's a predatory story. But in the Cluny tapestry, we see that this fifth dimensional encounter and initiation of the sacred woman, the sacred female, the sacred virgin or sovereign, is very much aided by the presence of this graceful, healing unicorn being. And the young girls are the ones who are keeping it alive today, right? But they know in their maiden consciousness and mind, they're so attracted to this because of this ancient memory. And this is something that those of us who are, more mature, seasoned spiritualists are opening up to now. It's part of, the Mary and Magdalene Priestess training that we're going through. We're about to have a pretty big experience with this together next week as we record this. And this is all in flow, in motion, in flux. We are restoring our memories about this and our understanding of what this meaning is. But the unicorn is a creature of healing, of innocence and grace. And that is why it's connected with the Virgin Maiden or the Mother Mary figure, because she is that as well. So the two of them work together, and there's so much more to be explored and remembered about this.
I love that. And I love that it gives us a greater understanding of what the unicorn really was and why so many young girls are attracted to the unicorn, because they are connected to that innocence, because they have the touch of healing with their pure hearts, they're creative, and so they are unicorns themselves.
They are. They are. The maiden girls are the ones, up to 9 years old. They have that purity, right? And so there is so much to be learned from our maidens, the maidens on our earth today.
Yes. So interesting. I feel like a lot of girls who are being born right now, a lot of these maidens coming through, have incredibly strong personalities. I've noticed that with my daughter and other girls that are 2, 3, 4, 5 years old. How would you explain that with the connection to the unicorn? It's that innocence and power
That's
coming
right.
at the same
They
time.
know everything. They know everything already. They know what's what. And what happens is in our world, unfortunately, they can encounter things that break them down or traumatize them,
Mhm.
tear them down, da, da, da. But what we want to do is support their purity, their innocence,
Mhm.
and their native intelligence, which is filled with love, filled with a desire to help our world, right? This is
Mhm.
the energy of the young girl. This is what we want to support. And we want to encourage them to play with the unicorns, remember the unicorns, uh, be able to see the unicorns, right? They are going to lead the way. The children among us are going to lead the way, right? Didn't Jesus say that?
Yes.
So I think it's not just Jesus as a male child who's leading the way, but a lot of these young girls, as we exonerate the sacred feminine and women, we are exonerating the maiden and the young girl. And that basically is, I'm just receiving this now in our conversation. So this is a new piece of information coming in, LA, through our confluence together.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for the Marys for bringing that insight through. Um, You also speak about the holy womb chakra in your book and how Mother Mary had mastered her holy womb chakra to be able to bring Jesus through. Can you speak more about that?
Yes. So what I love is that Sri Kaleshwar brought to life the idea of the whole, that there is a holy womb chakra that is like related to the second chakra, the womb. It's an empowerment chakra in all people, but especially women who, were born with the uterus and so forth. And he really brings life to the idea of the virgin birth of Mother Mary.
Mm.
It's a very beautiful companion information to what I've discovered about virgin birth and written about in various other books, like The Mystery Tradition of Miraculous Conception and previous books, where I've sussed out the extreme technologies that these women would use through their wombs. And then he brings in a whole other layer saying, yes, this is all part of a tradition of intense empowerment that the human women possess, uh, for not only conception of a divine child, be it through high level technologies, be it through mindful sexual union with a man, or what have you. But also the womb has the powers to heal at a distance, and resurrect the dead, bring the dead back to life, or help the dead cross over. These and many other things are layers of articulation that he brings to this that help us understand what actually Mother Mary was doing, what Mary Magdalene was doing, what these other sacred divine birth priestesses have been doing throughout time, and what we are capable of doing now and going forward. That's the most exciting part of it. This is not just a historical piece. This is a vision
Mhm.
to our future of humanity.
And of course, we can work with that technology in a way, work with our holy womb chakra through the course that Saint Kaleshwar teaches, right? Or do you think that for anyone that is listening right now, if they're curious about this and how to harness this power, where could they begin?
Yes. Well, they can, there are various teachers that are teaching the Holy Womb Chakra system that have been certified. I'm
Hmm.
one of them, as you may know. So through Seven Sisters Mystery School, they can find the Holy Womb Chakra Teachings course under our courses and explore, get a little flavor of it, decide whether you want to go into it. I do wholeheartedly endorse this system. I have seen its effects in my own life, in that of other people. It is a means of clearing the womb from all the miasm that we've accrued, not only in our personal life, but in our collective life, and then accruing powers to it once again. Um, and that's part of a whole program of restoration of the feminine that's going on, right? So, again, bringing in pieces through the Mary and Magdalene priestess training that I'm doing. And I know there are others like Elaine Doty, whom you found me through, is doing her facets of the crystal on it. There are many, many other people, and those listening, perhaps some of you have intuited this. Maybe you are teachers in this regard. Fabulous. Let's all keep going. We all have pieces of this. It's an infinite pie. There are very many pieces that need to be brought together, and we may taste and experience some of each other's, teachings as we go along. And there's just a lot of play to be done.
Yes, absolutely. Um, with all this secret feminine work coming in the light with your book, your courses, more and more people stepping into the priestess role, like me, for example,
Okay.
and many, many more to come. What do you think does the next 5 to 10 years hold for the collective with this rising of the feminine?
Yeah, I think it's amazing. And I know that there are trials, tribulations, troubles, and different things that are going on as the other side of the spectrum, the not so nice forces are like acting out, and so that's all part of it. But I think if we just stick to the positive, no matter what's going on, stick to this grand illumination, this door opening to the immense light, the empowerment, the restoration of the human being, the restoration, the reintegration of the feminine into reality, there is no limit to what's possible. And this is where I invite everybody to open the door to their own creativity. What's calling you in this? You know, like Ele, you have whole bunches of things that you're doing that you're excited about. Keep on with it, right? Everybody, keep on with it. Spend some time. Know that you can do this. Know that you can get the supports, both inner and outer. There are mentors galore now to support you. Just go with your awe, go with your sense of mystery, go with what's exciting you, go with what you're feeling called to do. And let's just, keep on with it, because
Yes.
there's so many other layers of things that are going to be revealed and understood now versus even 5 years ago. When I think of it, it's just tremendous how much change has happened, and the depth of understandings and the new doors that have been opening. Like, wow, I didn't really understand that before. And now I see this, and oh my gosh. And now the whole collective of planet Earth is just moving in this direction. So there is an acceleration, and it's time for everybody to focus in
Absolutely.
on this positive spiral that's going.
Yep. And so what do you think is the role of the priestess in this acceleration?
It's very important, uh, because women bring a particular type of knowing, a particular access to the information, a particular type of creativity, especially because they do have the strong holy womb chakra. And this going forward is the time of the priestess, essentially. So, anybody who wants that job description, start co-creating it, because it's going to look differently for each person. And we need as many priestesses as possible to be doing this work and fostering this play. And it's a very vital time for sacred women, spiritual women, to make this type of work not only their sacred ministry, but their livelihood.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Lots
Absolutely.
of different facets of this, from the birth mysteries to the death mysteries and everything in between.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. My journey to joining your training has been a bit of an inner battle, to be honest, because for a long time I felt called by the path of the priestess, but also did not always resonate with the way the priestess was represented. Um, and then I looked up certain trainings and I felt like some were maybe lacking true connection with Mother Divine. I don't know. I just could sense that there was no, I mean, there was, but it wasn't as authentic as other ones, maybe.
Yeah.
Um, until I found yours, and I just knew that's exactly what I needed. And when I speak around me, this is something that I observe a lot around friends or women who are on a spiritual journey and they're like, yeah, maybe one day I'll do a priestess training, but I don't know if it's really for me because it's really painted with this idea of like women wearing long dresses and long hair in the forest, whereas it has nothing to do with the way you dress, but more the way that you serve and how that you show up in the world. So, for anyone that is maybe in a similar situation, can you give us some signs or some direction, or maybe your own journey to help them see, well, the priestess path is for me, and potentially the Mary and Magdalene priestess training that you're offering could be for me?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And what I would say is, I honor all the women who are bringing forth priestess teachings and trainings at whatever flavor and level that they are.
Hmm.
And we
Hmm.
are all growing. And I just
Yeah.
encourage all of us who are doing the priestess work to keep growing, keep opening, keep doing our shadow work, our healing, keep doing our medicine work to open our consciousness, or our meditation work to open our consciousness. It's all evolving. And I think that for people who are seeking, let's say, guidance or trainings or whatever, go with your intuition. You know, if you see a website or you see a person or you hear of a person, get a little sense. And if you're getting like, wow, I'm excited, go with it. You know, that person doesn't have to be perfect. They're giving you some teachings. Maybe there's some things that are not so great that you're going to need to know about that you're going to learn there. And okay, that's all right.
Yeah.
And then go on, you know, keep going along. And maybe you'll find yourself in that seat one day, giving out those teachings and so forth. It's like it's about all of us just continuing to do our personal one-on-one healing and spiritual development, right? And so we may then be led to finding mentors or courses or things like that. Just keep looking out there. There's so much, you know, on the web now, or ask for to be led, you know, by your higher self, by Mother Mary, whoever. Just ask to be put in the right place with the exact right person or training that you need at this time. And you will learn something no matter what training you go into. And even if it's like a backhanded teaching, like, well, I knew that's not exactly what I need, or that's not the kind of priestess I hold up, you know, who do I want to be? And is there a mentor for me in this regard? We're all just working it.
Yeah,
And
yeah, that's a
we
beautiful way
don't
of
have
putting
to be perfect to be a teacher, a mentor, whatever. We start where we are, we keep our work going, we develop. I mean, gosh, from 13, 14 years ago when I started Seven Sisters Mystery School, I've done a lot of learning. I've made some mistakes, you know. I approach things differently. I approach people differently as I've been doing my healing, right? So, but it doesn't invalidate some of the good stuff that I did back then, right? It's just we're
it.
evolving.
Absolutely.
Follow your intuition.
I love that answer because the mind often wants confirmation that this is the path for us and that this is the direction that we need to follow. And sometimes especially actually when we want to start walking the priestess path, it's not a decision that you make with the mind. It's the decision that you
No,
make with your heart. And it's
with your
often your higher
excitement.
self who knows better
Yeah,
than you.
that's right. You know, just if you're excited about it or about something, go for it. Go into it, explore it, see where it comes out, and then see what the next step is that's exciting you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so, so much, Marguerite, for bringing all your expertise, all your research, all your wisdom and gifts to this podcast. I really love that you shared all of this with my audience. Where can everybody find you?
Yes, well, thank you for having me.
Of
Thank you
course.
for the work that you're doing as well. And if people want to find out more about me, just go to sevensistersmysteryschool.com. The seven is written out Seven. You'll find all manner of free resources, videos, guided meditations, as well as courses at varying levels of commitment. Got cacao ceremonies that we do, get on our email list, and just join in and see what's coming about. And there might be something that appeals to you at some point. You can also book a one-on-one session if you're feeling like you would benefit from that. So just come on to our journey together.
Beautiful. And I highly recommend you all follow Marguerite on Instagram as well and go check out her website. Her courses are amazing. And I'm loving the priestess training.
Thank you
So
so
thank you
much.
again, Marguerite, and
Yeah,
see you all very
all
soon.
right. Bye-bye.